Oh boy. Yeah, we're not. No waiting screen. It's we're here. No waiting screen. No intro music. Nothing. You know, I predicted that this would release this weekend. Isn't that crazy? My prediction was quite frankly on point. Joyous. Also, can you guys hear me? Am I quiet? Hello? Okay. Hopefully I'm not quiet. The concept of me predicting the next hunter. Oh, okay. My mic is actually fine. We're chilling. Don't worry. We're here. Guys, this was posted on Twitter 6 minutes ago. Maybe a little bit later. Um, just waiting for more people to join in. Guys, we have stuff. I'm so excited. I'm also kind of nervous. I'm excited, but I'm nervous. Cause what if they did stuff and like now she's boring. I don't have Twitter, so I'm relying on you. Okay. Well, we'll be here for at least an hour and a half. At least an hour and a half. Be nervous. She has a lot. Oh gosh. Also, my mic is way too loud. That should be better. Guys, are you ready? 3 minute long showcase. Also, yeah, so much is going on with IDV. The new buffs that we saw. Perfumer is the best survivor in the game now. Kind of crazy. I really don't think that buff will be as. I think it's crazy ridiculous, but I don't think it's as crazy ridiculous as people think. Because just simply wait. I think that's probably going to be the best option. Hi, Finn Daniel. All right, guys, are we ready? Are we ready? Yeah, they made Perfumer mini knight. It's kind of weird. All right, we're gonna start it. Here we go. This is also English translations, so let me also turn it down a bit. It was only when she was stung in the old apiary, a place that had once held their sweetest memories, as venom surged through her veins and she writhed at the brink of life and death, that Meliponius finally understood that the final metamorphosis of human nature is always born from betrayal. All right, let's see. We've already seen like the in-game model from the teaser they did, and it's honestly already like pretty good. I'm scared though. Dude, her in-game model looks really good. Also, I need to turn it down here, and then I can bring it up here. It's just so loud for me. All right. Oh, no! Everything's already going wrong. My little brother betrayed me today. Oh, gosh. I'm so sorry. Her in-game model is so good. Okay. External trait, swarm of insects. Queen bee and her swarm of insects exist in a symbiotic bond. The swarm remains active throughout the match and can shift between several states. In dormant state, the swarm of insects does not affect survivors. So she can... Okay. So if it's dormant, it just doesn't do anything. predatory state. When the swarm of insects moves, it enters predatory state. In this state, touching a survivor drains 18 energy from them, granting queen bee the oh my gosh, bro, this stupid thing. Go away. Why is this here? Okay, hold on, there we go. When in the swarm of insects moves, it enters predatory state. In this state, touching a survivor drains 18 energy from them, granting queen bee the assimilation effect, which increases movement speed by 18% for 2 seconds. Kind of crazy. And that can only be done every 1 second. So this is like Van Daniel, if you jump on my desk, you're gonna PMO. So let's see. I need to just play through it. We'll just play through it. And then we'll do analysis. So once it's moving and it touches her, then she gains that move speed. But it has to be moving. That's so cool. And when her swarm is attached to her, her interaction speed is faster. Okay. Just showing how she can move it, I guess. Ooh. That's actually a lot faster than it looked like. Okay. Wait, and she can go through... Wait, she can go through walls. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Wait, that's kind of crazy. Hello? That's actually kind of crazy. The geisha power creep, no truly. Whoa! Oh wait, this wasn't shown? This is sick! And she can go, oh my gosh, bruh, she's actually kind of nuts. That's so sick, dude. That's so sick. She's everything. She's serving everything. They gave her so much more mobility than I thought they would, if I'm so honest. Dude, it's sick. It's sick. Hello? Ooh, that's also fast. Wait, that's... Hold on. Sorry for skipping, but that's really fast chip damage. Because she consumes to shoot a stinger and then shoots another one immediately after. So that's pretty quick. That's pretty quick chip damage. That's kind of crazy. Oh, I love her design. The in-game model does her so much justice. That's so sick. Tears in my eyes. No, rest in peace. Dude, she seems really strong. She definitely seems strong. Okay. Okay, let's analyze this a bit more. Let's look at descriptions of stuff. Let's analyze this more. Obviously, we have her in-game model. Again, I think her in-game model does her a lot of justice. Hey Melly, so Amanda hasn't come home yet. Surely you will. Ivy needs a partner main. I said this last stream. I am absolutely going to be spending money on her essence. So there's that. I will be spending money. Hopefully I can get her. We're not going to talk about how she went after everybody except journalist. Lesbian, true. Okay, so obviously we know this one. Whenever it's dormant, aka not moving, it kind of does nothing. It won't slow them down. It won't give you the speed boost. It does nothing. As long as it's just stationary. So pretty cool. But in this state, when touching a survivor, it drains energy from them. So my question is, So clearly the way that you get energy is by this interaction, right? Which means are survivors going to have to manage a resource, or is it just going to kind of be a resource bar that they have that does nothing for them at least? Because obviously she has no energy and she gets energy whenever they pass through. And that's how you get the energy to do. That's actually really, really cool, in my opinion, because obviously you have to consume energy to do your fly, you have to consume energy to do your chip damage, you have to consume energy to do like that swarm mode that lets you move really quick. Um, it's really cool that this is how you regenerate it, because you're gonna actually need, and as someone who's not experienced and not like locked in on how she works isn't going to be able to do all of this like hyper aggressive stuff, because you need to lock in and get your energy before you can hit the combos that you need to hit, you know? She feels even more aggressive than Hullabaloo, like with the map traversal she has camping with her. She has camping with her would be stupid, I agree. I feel like she has, I mean, she's already designed as a chase hunter, but she has a lot of I mean, yeah, a lot of map traversal. Like we saw, her flight thing lets her go through walls, which is, I didn't personally fully expect that, but I'm not gonna complain. Um, but yeah, I really like how this energy, her energy mechanic works. I think it's very, it'll be a, it's a good way to not make her seem so, I don't know, boring compared to a bunch of other characters. Because like with Violetta and Wax Artist, their energy works the exact same. But with Queen Bee, it's gonna be, you know, it's gonna be much different, and honestly, frankly, much cooler. And also, whenever touching a survivor, you get 18% movement speed for 2 seconds, which, if you just have this swarm like constantly around this survivor, because the same survivor can only be affected again after 1 second. So you can technically have this 18% speed buff up permanently, assuming I'm understanding this correctly. Because, like, surely, right? You just kind of keep the swarm on them as they're running, because you can move the swarm back towards you, too. You don't just move it forward, you can move it back. So you can just kind of keep it on them and constantly have that 18% speed boost, no? That's kind of crazy as well. So he's probably frothing at the mouth. I would not be surprised. This is so sick, though. Would you crack Goatman? I'm not entirely sure what that means. Yeah, don't entirely know what that means. But yeah, so you can move it like back and forth. Surely you can move it forward and backwards too. This is cool as well. Synergy state. When the swarm of insects is actively recalled, it enters synergy state, merging with Queen Bee. During synergy state, her vaulting speed increases by 10%. This is kind of bad wording. Or maybe it's like a translation error, because it's clearly 10% interaction bonus. Because she's obviously not vaulting, but she damages it. She breaks it 10% faster. I don't think it's necessarily like the craziest speed buff, but it's definitely going to help her a lot. For sure. This is so sick. Oh no, this isn't the same one. Okay. So my question is, how is this even going to work? By holding the ability button, Queen Bee directs the swarm of insects movement along a chosen path. The swarm of insects travels at 15 meters per second with a maximum range of 28 meters. She can set a new path at any time to override the current one, or click the button again to recall a dispersed swarm of insects. So this is confusing to me. Oh no, I understand. I understand. So you are, it's not necessarily it's not you just, it's not following your cursor, essentially. You have to actually place it down, like how we saw in the other teaser. You have to actually place the marker down for it to move. I'm pretty sure, at least. Or I think what it is, I think this is how it works. I think it follows the cursor automatically, because if you look here, you can see that this is like a perfectly straight line. But just a few seconds later, you can see the path is very... It's weird. It doesn't look like it's following a path. It looks like it's following just where the cursor went. But later on, when it does that, you can see that it, you know, it turns to go up there. So I wonder if it's setting down a marker specifically and also letting it like follow the cursor if it has no marker, maybe? I don't know. This is also cool. This is her. This looks a lot better than what we saw in the teaser. Because in the teaser it looked a lot slower, and it looks like they buffed the movement speed of the projectile, which is, in my opinion, very, very good. But you spend 35 energy to condense a stinger, which will launch forward after a short delay, and if it hits the survivor along its path, it deals 0.5 damage, aka chip damage. So yeah, it definitely looks a lot faster. I'm curious, what's the range on this? Is this like... Is this any range, pretty much? This is also crazy. This is... I feel like her chip damage and stuff generally isn't that crazy. This might be the best part of her kit. Is these movement capabilities in general. What if you can teleport around Moonlit like this? I'm 100% positive. And I'm sure you could also like teleport up into a second story on Moonlit, or on this map as well. I wouldn't be surprised. Hullabaloo found dead, yeah. I fear. You do have to make sure you have your energy management is going to be super important on her. But this is just super, super sick. And look how far you can fly. That's insane. That's so crazy. And it's not just how far, it's also this speed is pretty quick. Yeah, I don't think... Obviously, we can't really tell based on, like, not playing it, because we're watching someone else play it. It's kind of difficult to gauge how it will be personally for energy management. I don't think it will ultimately be that difficult. I think it'll end up being, frankly, very easy to build up energy. Just given how the stats look. But we'll have to see whenever we play her. There is one part of her kit I'm honestly kind of genuinely worried about. I'm kind of genuinely worried about this. I'm a bit worried about this. At the end of reciprocation, while switching back to her main body, Queen Bee can spend 15 energy to fire a stinger with no delay. This is obviously a very good thing. It lets you use your swarm teleport for 15 energy and then shoot the stinger for another 15. So it's cheaper than using one stinger, right? This combo itself is cheaper energy-wise, which is good, right? But I'm worried about how fast it is. And also in this instance, you're only really spending 15 energy to do this. Because if you're doing it in the way they do it here, you are obviously commanding the swarm closer, and then you jump, or what happens is you put the swarm over the survivor, which gives you more energy, and then you travel to it and then shoot the stinger. So you're you're consuming a total of 30 energy, but you're gaining an extra 18 with this combo. Yes, girl. What are you doing? My SIRI just went off on my tablet for some reason. Yes, you can go through walls. Look at how crazy this is, Fizzy. This is insane. Like, it's a low-key kind of crazy. It's super sick, but it's kind of a little bit crazy. Right? Like and her map traversal gets even better. Just watch. This next one, like, it's crazy. Watch how cool this is. I'm gonna read it first. When flight ends, Queen Bee forms a hive cluster. She can control the cluster to move at 12 meters per second, which is... I actually want to look at something real quick. IDV, Dream Witch. Is this faster than Dream Witch main body? It's... Yes, it is. It's not just faster, it's 2 times as fast as her main body. That's kind of crazy. After being in this state for 0.5 seconds, energy will begin draining at 6 per second, which obviously, like, this is... I honestly don't know if this is, like, necessarily too OP. It honestly sounds more balanced than it, you know, appears, in my opinion. But Queen Bee can end this state by voluntarily switching back to her main body, spending 10 and 20 energy to fire an instant stinger, or when energy drops to 0. The skill cooldown is 18 seconds. Yeah, this is really, really, really fast. This is very, very, very fast. And she can go through windows. Her chip damage is going to be a lot better than I thought it was. Like, her chip damage is going to be a lot better than I thought it was. I honestly want to try and do a chip-only playstyle with her because of how good her chip damage is going to be. Like, I guarantee you, if you're good enough at her, you could probably play an entire match, get a 4K with only doing chip damage. Probably. Just given how strong this is, especially at full presence. I wonder if you want to play trump card or window block. I would be very surprised if anyone runs... Yeah, I'm definitely going to try that. That video idea. But I would be very surprised if people run... confined space on her. I'd be very surprised. I think generally... Honestly, I don't know. I feel like detention is just going to be good on her, mainly for, you know, the speed that you'd end up getting. But honestly, maybe insolence on her. Maybe. Because I don't think you really would need trump card, because in most situations when you need trump card, it's to swap to, like, warp or TP or something, right? But she really doesn't need either of those because of how mobile her kit is. And with blocking windows, you don't really need to either because you just can absolutely destroy windows. Like, she doesn't really get that affected by survivors vaulting windows at all. Because you can go over windows. Presumably, I think you can also go over pallets. So honestly, detention inso might be her typical, which is cool because we haven't seen a hunter who, you know, loves bringing insolence in a while, at least in my opinion. But this is so sick. Also, like, if I don't think I can bring it up now. Like, I can't bring up the video now, but like, if you like go look for the teaser that we got, I'm so confident that she's faster in general. Like, obviously I've mentioned her stingers are faster, but this is 100, it's so much faster. It's so much faster. If anything, she can TS people who are slow at faults. This is true. This is so sick, though. I'm very excited to play her. Her kit, honestly, like... It doesn't seem like too complicated. Like from a purely what's the word I'm thinking of? From a purely descriptive standpoint, it doesn't feel that complicated. It's going to be more tricky in practice, I think. And her, like, if we compare like Lanternist, she really doesn't. She doesn't have that much complexity in her kit, if I'm so honest. Um, hmm. That's interesting. You can see when she gets energy. She woke up and decided to be Amanda Gunner. I don't know if she'll counter Amanda. Who knows at this point? Um, how would she counter? I mean, obviously, she does chip damage, which Amanda can, you know, be a bit tricky into chip hunters, unless you're a Ripper, I guess. Um, but I don't know if she'd necessarily counter Amanda. She can chip hit really fast compared to a lot of chip hunters. Of course, hold on. I might actually take that back. I might take that back. Hold on. So this says Queen Bee spends 35 energy to condense a stinger, will launch forward after a short delay, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't say there's a cooldown. So that's interesting. And obviously we saw later on, I can't exactly remember where it was. Was it like here? It was right here, I think. But we can see here that she just fires two super quick. So there's no cooldown on stingers. It's just if you have the energy to do it, you can do it, right? So she does technically have the best chip hunter. Like she has the best chip, like the most consistent chip hitting out of pretty much all the chip hunters, I think. I know none of the ranged chip hunters, aside from, yeah, maybe Gala. Gala might. Of course, Gala's a lot trickier to do chip damage, I would argue. There's a lot more you have to think about. Where with Queen Bee, all you really have to do, it's just a projectile. And she definitely clears every projectile based chip hunter that we have. I'm so serious. Which, I mean, rest in peace to Ripper and Violetta, but also I'm kind of glad it was Melly who did this. But yeah, I think she has the best ranged chip potential out of all the chip hunters. I'm curious to see if there will be a combo for camping at chair. Since there's no chip cooldown, if you have enough energy, you could just chip hit twice at chair and then insta down. Yeah, Ripper is over. It's over. Yeah, I can imagine that'll be a strat that people end up doing for camping. I don't think people should end up camping a lot with her though, and I don't think people will end up camping with her super often. But I definitely think that when the time is necessary, it will be very strong. This is still crazy. You know what I'm curious about? I'm curious, and I don't think this is necessarily like, I want to like first and foremost say I don't think this is going to work this way. But I wonder what happens if you go through someone in this state? Like what if you are able to, because obviously if you command your hive, your swarm to go through a survivor via predatory state, you get the energy back. But what happens if you are in this state and you go through a survivor? What happens if you get energy then? Because that could be really crazy. I don't think that's how this is gonna work, because I think if it worked that way, they would show it, or like it would be written somewhere, you know. Um, but that would definitely be kind of crazy. I also don't think she really needs any buff, at least. I think that's kind of obvious. I think she could be nerfed in places. I think the only real place that I'm already immediately saying where she could get nerfed are the chip damage having a small cooldown, like maybe 2 or 2.5 second cooldown. I'm actually, that might be a bit too long, like 1.5 to 2 second cooldown. Because you still want her to be able to combo quickly, but you don't want it to be like, you want her to be able to be played as a chase hunter. She's not designed to be a guarding hunter, and her playstyle, especially with chip damage and the way it works, can really, I mean, I can already tell that it could be played, she could be played as a camping hunter very easily. Um, oh yeah, she does kind of counter body blocking doorways. I think the way that this form is gonna work is she's gonna kind of get, um, she's gonna become, for my League of Legends gamers, she's gonna be ghosted, so she'll be able to go through survivors with no collision, pretty much. 1.5 seconds cooldown, but you can cancel the cooldown if you do the X thing. If you like stop aiming, yeah, I can see that for sure. Absolutely. I am already obsessed. I cannot wait to play her, dude. She's so fast. She does chip damage. She has a playstyle and a kit that makes you kind of need to pay attention to what you're doing compared to some characters. Not to name names. But yeah, if I think the key to being good at this character is definitely 100% going to be energy management and knowing when you need to like play more aggressive, and also, you know, when you need to just grab energy. Sorry, team. I just hit my cable. I'd imagine she starts with 0 energy, so she has to, like, you know, bring up her energy as she goes. But I imagine the start of the match. See, here's another interesting question. When does she get her chip damage? Because if she gets her chip damage on first presence, I don't think she does. I think her chip damage is immediate, and her yeah, okay, this is probably just basing on what we see in the top right and also what we see in the, you know, UI. Her chip damage is likely given at the start, and then her fly is given at presence 1, and then at full presence it's upgraded somehow. I don't know if it's shown how it's upgraded. I don't remember them showing it. I'm so excited for her, dude. She looks like a lot of fun. Oh, I remember. Her full pres should be the zoom zooms. The swarm transform. This is full presence. But honestly, her normal, I wonder if we can actually, oh my gosh, wait. Okay, so it's kind of like that much with this. I'm trying to see if the at full presence if the teleport ends up being, I think it is less. I think it costs less to teleport. Or to like fly to your swarm. It looks like it costs less. Maybe like at 12, 13 or 12 energy instead of 15. Chip damage is super strong when used correctly. I feel like people are so quick to underestimate it, especially when rescuing. I agree. Chip damage is definitely not to be underestimated. Because also, whenever you think about what all you can do with chip damage, it's not just necessarily chipping away at the character's health. It's also like if you're against a gardener, or if you're against a seer, or if you're against a I don't know, a knight, or a professor, or any of these characters that can protect themselves or have some sort of shield, escapologist too. You can just kind of proc the hit that you need to use to get rid of that. You can get rid of Seer Owl with chip damage. You can get rid of Gardener Shield. You can get rid of Escapologist's free hit with chip damage. So she's going to really enjoy going against those characters for sure. She is so fast. She's moving so fast that it's taking a while for things in the map to generate. That's how fast she's going. This is insanely fast. I am very excited for this. That's true. That's very interesting. I want to see if you can avoid being stunned in her swarm form. Yeah, what if it's like wheel? That could be really, really interesting. Also, with chip damage, Windows becomes a flip coin. This is true. And also, I would argue, like, if, for example, she were closer at this point, like, if she was closer and, like, flew through the window as, who was this, Batter, I think? No, it's Novelist. As they vault, that could be a TS. That could be a TS. Could absolutely be a TS. Listen, I have not been paying attention to any of the survivors in this match. So, yeah, if we look at this, this is a good visual representation on how quick you can bring up your energy. Because obviously we can't see the bar, but if you watch, boom, energy proc, right? Him doing that animation, energy proc, energy proc, energy proc. Anytime you do that animation, and I said it earlier, but I didn't like actually explain. Watch the wings on her back. So obviously they go away, but as soon as she gains energy, boom, that shows up. And that's not necessarily like her getting the energy, that's like indicative of her movement speed buff, but it's also, it's your visual as well for getting energy, right? So anytime, actually, it's not necessarily indicative of the energy gain. It's just indicative of the movement speed. Unless they're lying. Because they say that this obviously increases movement speed by 18% for 2 seconds, and the same survivor can only be affected again after 1 second, but they might be joking. It might be the same quote-unquote cooldown for the movement speed and for the time you can get energy. Because if you watch, unless the timing is just weird, she gets it and passes over a few times, but she doesn't get the buff back. Or she doesn't regen until she gets her mini wings. Yeah, I think it might be the same cooldown. Maybe. Just given how this, because surely one, yeah, she would get extra energy there. So the cooldown isn't 1 second. It has to be at least 2 for both things, which I think is valid. But like you can see how easy it is to get energy. You know what I mean? And you drain 18 energy. So 2 procs of this, you get chip damage. You get 1 chip damage hit. Or if you're full, here, where is it? It's reactive cluster, or reactive. What's it called? Reactive sting. Whoopsies. Obviously here, the combo is, hit them with the swarm to get energy back, teleport, and then use the stinger with no delay, which is fast chip damage. And the crowd she goes crazy. This is true. I'm curious, now that you say that, I'm curious to know if, and I don't think this will happen, but what if this can stack? Like, what if her movement speed can stack? Like, if you have 2 people, let's say this novelist was secretly trying to assist, I don't know, their decoder, right? If you hit both of them with a swarm, what if the movement speed stacks? Again, I don't think it will, but this is theory crafting. That could be really OP. And I really hope she can't do that, because that would be way too strong. Even just with 2 people, your primary chase target and harasser, that would be way too much added movement speed for her. Because this already is a noticeable speed increase. Like I think at least, we can notice the speed increase quite decently. Bro, I keep clicking the wrong thing. Speed. I'm glad it's also not like super insane movement speed. Like, it's an 18-second, or it's an 18% buff, which is good, but it's only for 2 seconds, which really is not that crazy. Granted, you can reapply it very quickly. I think W keying against her is going to be the worst possible decision you can make. Because if you make predictable movement, and I feel like she's going to have issues. I feel like she's going to have issues and people are not going to enjoy playing against her at all. People are going to complain a lot. I can already imagine. Imagine you are taking first kite and she uses a swarm with no speed penalty for controlling it. In fact, she gets the speed bonus for controlling it. But while controlling it, she is constantly chasing you, reapplying this buff to herself, and you can't W key to another palette or another loop because she just has almost 100% uptime on this 18% speed buff. People are not going to enjoy that. I guarantee it. They are not going to have fun. That's for sure. Especially since the controlling is, quite frankly, very quick. You can't outrun this swarm at all. It's impossible. I think the only way you would be able to outrun it is if you used rugby ball. That's the only way you would be able to outrun it. And even then, it's still super, super, super quick. But it is impossible to outrun this at normal survivor speeds. I will say this chip damage is also very satisfying. As someone who likes chip damage hunters, this chip damage definitely does not disappoint. And it's like animation and sound effects. It's very satisfying. I'm so excited to see her like in-game accessory and what that looks like. It's gonna look so good. Because remember, she gets a free accessory with the event on her release. That's so crazy how she can do this. For only 15 energy, she can go across the map on an only 18-second cooldown, by the way. That's whoa! Oh, I just thought of something. You can place your swarm by chair and keep it there because she's not able to control it this far away, right? She's not able to control her swarm this far away, but she is able to just leave it at that cipher and then go to it. You could leave your swarm at chair unless they have some sort of mechanic similar to like how gamekeeper can't put traps by chair, which I imagine hopefully they'll end up doing something like that, but you never know. But she can leave her swarm at chair and go out and be aggressive. Um, and as long as she has the energy for it, she can just go back to chair when they're saving. So she actually might end up being really good with peepers. So that you can see when they're actually going in. I don't think she'll end up wanting peepers though. But that is really crazy. You could also, like, for example, whenever endgame is going, you can leave your hive at a gate while you're checking the other one. Or obviously, if you need to guard a cipher, you can keep your hive at a cipher while you're going out and, aggressive on someone. You down them, but the team is about to pop the cipher. You chair them quickly and just fly back to the cipher and interrupt it. That's crazy. That's really good. Um, she has insane map pressure. Oopsies. Oopsies. IDV makes a chase-based hunter, but also has insane map pressure. She's gonna destroy small maps. Oh, for sure. Gosh. I'm trying to think of what traits, what like mini abilities she wants, because she doesn't really need warp or teleport. I imagine she also won't really. She's gonna be a hunter that's not gonna need blink. It'll work on her, but she's really not gonna need it. I don't think. Um, I think peepers will end up being pretty good on her. Um, Obviously, listen is listen. It's probably not going to work. Patroller, I imagine, wouldn't be that crazy. Wait, what if listen is genuinely viable on her? I mean, you don't really need Patroller to farm energy, though, because the swarm is so fast already. You know what I mean? And if you get close enough to a survivor, you're going to want to hit them anyways. I imagine you wouldn't want to just in most cases you should be able to manage your energy enough to where you don't need to sacrifice getting a hit over getting more energy. You know what I mean? So I really don't think you'll need peepers, especially to farm energy. And just because of how fast she is in general, I don't think you'll need peepers either or patroller for slowdown at all. Um, I think peepers will genuinely be good on her. Uh, Abnormal, obviously, might be good. Um, then excitement also could be good. I'm curious to know, based on how other people end up playing against her, stunning might be really good. We never know, depending on how it interacts with certain things in her kit. Um, but excitement might be good to bring on her. I genuinely think, just off the top of my head, peepers will probably be the best, with blink in second place. And I'm so serious. I am going to end up trying listen on her on release because you're gonna need to kind of be in chase all the time. And if you have the ability that lets you find people who are, being too loud, you know what I mean? It could be really good to find chase, just in my opinion, because she really does, again, she doesn't need to bring warp or teleport because of her swarm. Um, And since that's an 18-second cooldown, you can get like what? 3 or 4 of those off in either of warp or teleport's cooldown. And both of them, like your swarm can be cross map. She literally just power creeps both teleport and warp if you use it correctly, obviously. But yeah, she won't need either of those as long as she sets up her swarm. Blink, again, I really don't think is going to be needed on her. I don't think Blink is necessarily crazy good on most chip hunters, like most ranged chip hunters. So yeah, I don't think she'll really need it. But I think it'll be viable. Peepers, again, probably going to be the best. And I genuinely want to try listen on her because I think it might actually be viable. As crazy as that sounds. This is interesting. She could do such a quick down. It's crazy. Like imagine doing this, right? You instantly use the reactive sting to shoot an extra stinger, and then you absolutely will have, in this instance, you have enough energy to just use another stinger for another chip damage, and then maybe get another attack off, a normal attack off. Potentially, it might be enough time. I don't know how much of a recovery period there is. Of course, did it show in here? I can't remember. I know in the teaser video we got, whenever they used Stinger, it showed that she had attack recovery when it hit. But here it doesn't look like she has an attack recovery animation. You guys know what I'm talking about? In the live stream, when we saw her, she had an attack recovery animation when hitting chip damage, which was like the reason why I thought she was going to end up not being great. But, I mean, here, she doesn't have that attack recovery animation. So presumably you can shoot a stinger and then immediately normal attack. She's gonna be so cool, bro. I want her to release right now, dude. I want her to release right now. I have so many things I want to test. I want to try so many things. I want to become S1. Fight Z's for S1. Because I know he's going to fight for it. I don't know if I'll try an S Badger or S1. I'll probably play in a ranked if I can, but you know. Well, team, I think we'll watch it one more time through fully, and then we might end stream. I do. I want to zoom around the map with Melly so bad. Yeah, honestly, there wasn't as much. I think Lanternists. How long was Lanternists video, bro? It was at least 4 minutes long. This one is only 3 minutes long, so really not that bad. But yeah, we're gonna watch it again, and I think I'll end the stream there because not as much to talk about with her compared to Amanda. Super sick though. I'm very excited. Again, I'm excited for accessory and what that's gonna look like. This is the time to try and make sure we catch everything, which I think we've done. That's gonna be fun, is managing your swarm, not just like where you place it, but when you recall it, the times you recall it. Because obviously if you're breaking a pallet and you're able to, you should recall your swarm for the increased speed. Dude, I just woke up. We got the video. Going max pity for her because I love chip punchers. Same. I mean, I might not go max pity, but I definitely will spend money on her essence. What did I miss? Oh, you know, she just power creeps every chip puncher in the game, and also power creeps teleport and warp, and has the ability to move double the speed as Dream Witch main body. So nothing too crazy. Nothing too crazy, you know. Hey, it's okay. Survivors are getting giga buffed in season 40. We can have an OP hunter, okay? Let this hunter go through without any changes. Honestly, this is and like I'm so serious. This is like definitely like Fizzy's not wrong. This is at least one of the craziest movement hunters in the game, if not the craziest. But yeah, this is a 18-second cooldown with only 15 energy. What you can do, obviously, I'm sure you can cook this up in your own brain, but I am going to bring it up again. You can like leave your swarm at chair and go out and be aggressive. And as soon as they're going to a save, you can just teleport back to your swarm and instantly get back to chair without using a trait like TP or warp. I'm so excited for her release, dude. I cannot lie. I cannot lie. She has exceeded my expectations. Most certainly. Is there a max range for the swarm to be left, or does it need to be within specific meter range? I don't think it has a max range to be like placed down, quote unquote, but it does have a max range for you to be able to command it. So obviously, whenever she and I'll go back, don't worry, but whenever she was over here, right? She can't move the swarm this far away, but she can, if she's like back at that cipher, she can move her, you know, swarm to stay there and then go away from it. And I'm assuming if she tries to control it from this point, it just automatically tries to get to her as quickly as possible. Um, is what I would imagine at least. But yeah, you can't control it this far away, but you can just leave it alone. So I'd imagine you can, if you can leave it this far, and it also doesn't say you can, like, it doesn't say that there's a max distance. I can imagine you'll just be able to, like, leave it wherever pretty much. Okay, we'll go back to this. This is the, Orfeo, this is the moment where she's able to go double the speed as Dreamish main body. She's faster than the assets loading into the map. I agree, Punky. I really hope she doesn't get nerfed. Like, and I'm just gonna be real here, okay? I'm just gonna be real. We let Amanda go through test servers without receiving any nerfs. And survivors got buffed like crazy for season 40. If NetEase nerfs this character in test servers before she releases, it's confirming the suspicions that NetEase just hates Hunter players. I'm sorry. It's just the truth. NetEase, just embrace your inner I don't give a gaff energy that you've been having recently with characters and nurse and buffs, and just don't touch her. Let her go through test servers and just see what happens. I really don't think we have enough people in test servers to properly judge, so we might as well just let her be like this on release and then let the community decide what she needs after like maybe 2 or 3 weeks. How's our girl Melly looking? Does she fulfill the kind of gameplay you wanted her to fill? Honestly, I said this earlier, she exceeds my expectations. She is very, very good. Very good, very cool. Um, I'm quite excited to play her. With the teaser that we got last month, I was worried about her clunkiness and her speed being bad. Um, but she got a lot of changes between then. Maybe because obviously I'll be doing a video. I'll literally be editing right after I finish stream. Um, I'll be immediately editing this. Um, and I might have a section somewhere where I compare the stuff that we got and the teaser to what we have now, so I can explain it better because it's genuinely crazy. Her swarm dash ability, reciprocate or recuperate or whatever it's called, that is much, much faster in pretty much every animation for it. And her chip damage in the teaser we saw, whenever she did chip damage, she had an attack recovery animation, but now she doesn't. So she just can chip damage pretty much like Violetta and how Ripper can, and it's just a normal chip damage, which I'm really glad they did that because her gameplay would have felt awful if she had to attack recovery after every chip hit. It would have felt so bad. But yes, she is very good. She's very good. I'm very excited to play her. Another thing, I don't know if Punky, I know you said you love chip hunters. I don't know if you noticed this, but her chip has no cooldown. If you look here, watch this. Boom, boom. So there's no cooldown on the ability. If you have the energy to do it, you can do it 2 times in a row that quick. Yeah, it's literally Violetta 2.0. Granted, you have to spend like, what is it, 36 energy? 35 energy to do it. So you'd have to have 70 energy total to be able to do that. Um, unless you combo it specifically so that you do this stinger hit first, because obviously, and I've said this so many times, but this combo is you regenerate energy, teleport to your swarm, and then use reflexive sting. This combo in general is pretty much you're only spending 15 energy to do this. In total. So you can use this combo and then shoot another stinger right after, which would only cost about 45 energy total, 50 energy total. Okay, her recharge rate. Let me clear this up because she doesn't have a quote unquote recharge rate. The way she recharges is this, right? So you can see her bar at the bottom. Anytime her swarm goes through a survivor, she regenerates 18 energy. So it goes through him, regenerates 18 energy, and also gets a speed buff, right? Goes through energy, goes through again, energy. And that's a cooldown of about 2 seconds. It says it's 1 second, but it's 2 seconds per survivor. So if you have like, for example, if you have, someone assisting this novelist for some reason, and you pass your swarm through the novelist, and then whoever's assisting, Norton or something, I don't know, you get 2 procs of that instantly, right? Which is really good energy regeneration compared to literally any other regen hunter in the game. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, she doesn't have a set rate, which makes her a lot more interesting than other recharge hunters and a lot more like hands-on. And I think this is honestly like the best way they could approach a hunter that has a energy system. I think this is the best way they can approach it because the number one issue that I have with Violetta is that she doesn't have enough recharge. Her recharge rate is way too slow. But giving a hunter that requires energy to do stuff the the necessity of if they want more energy, they have to build it themselves instead of waiting for it to build. I think that's how you should approach a hunter like this. I think they did a really, really good job with pretty much all of this kit design, if I'm honest. I really think and this isn't just my inner hunter main being like, please don't mess up this hunter and make her bad. But I honestly think they shouldn't change anything about her. I think she's fine. I mean it. I think she's perfectly fine. I think the number one issue people are going to have with her is her pure chase. Because obviously, here, imagine she's chasing this novelist from further away and just keeping the swarm. I hit my cable again. But like the only real issue that people are going to have is this instance. She's chasing this novelist and she's far away. So she uses her swarm and just keeps it on this guy and gets essentially a permanent 18% speed boost. So she's going to feel pretty quick, right? And I genuinely think that's the only issue people are going to have. Like the only issue that's valid, at least. If you have any other issue with this character, um, I hate to say it, it might be a skill issue, if I'm being honest. I think, okay, there's two things that I think I would be okay with some sort of adjustments to, and that's this situation here and the no cooldown on her chip damage. I don't think it's going to be an issue because it's such a high energy cost thing. You're not going to have that many instances where it's viable to use 2 chip hits in a row, especially if you end up missing. So I don't think it's going to be that much of an issue, but I think that's something that could be nerfed. Give it like a 1 second cooldown. And I think that's okay. I don't think it's going to ruin her if they do that. And with this, I admittedly don't know how they could adjust this to make it less obnoxious for the survivor side. Because obviously you can't outrun this swarm. The swarm can go through pallets and windows, so you can't break like LOS that way. It's frankly too fast to lose. Um, and yeah, you know, she can just permanently have that 18% speed buff. She's speedy, but I think people can adapt to it. I mean, Opera Singer exists and people adapted. The thing with that, though, is the whole way people end up being able to adapt to Opera Singer is the counter is kind of obvious. You know, Opera Singer likes being near the walls, right? So what do you do when you're kiting Opera Singer? Just don't go to walls. Just kite in open areas. And she can't jump to a wall you're at because you're not at a wall. But with this, there's literally zero possibility to lose the swarm, which means there's zero possibility to lose the speed buff, pretty much, as long as you're constantly controlling it. I think a good way to change it is maybe make the... Because I don't think you... Okay, let me explain myself here. I think the best way to do this, to go about nerfing this, if you need to, is nerf her ability to get that speed boost, but don't touch her ability to regen energy. So her energy regen should stay as it is with the same cooldown, but the cooldown for getting your speed boost should be more like 5 to 7 seconds, right? Like you can still get that energy procs every like 2 seconds ish, but if you want to adjust the speed itself, bringing it higher, I think could be fine. Because if you end up touching the energy recharge, she's going to feel awful to play. Like truly, truly awful to play. I guarantee it. But if you end up nerfing how much speed she can maintain, I think that would be fine. And that would be probably arguably the best way to nerf this potential issue. You know what I mean? Cause yeah, she's gonna feel so fast. Yeah, if they do anything to her in Test Realm, I literally pray that it's just not hard nerfs. Like if they adjust certain things, chill, vibe. We're okay with this. This is fine. But if they just like say, you know what, never mind, we're not gonna give her this energy buff. Why? Why? I feel like that's incredibly like unrealistic and not necessary. You can just adjust the numbers and how and when it procs instead of getting rid of it. You know what I mean? So I really hope they don't do something unrealistic and crazy like that. Um, if you want to nerf this, where is it? If you want to nerf this specifically, I think you could have it so that it consumes more energy the further you fly. You know what I mean? That would be probably arguably the best way to nerf this is to have it cost more energy the further you are away from your swarm. I think the cooldown honestly is going to end up being fine. It's fast compared to things like warp or TP, but the cooldown isn't the only um it's not the only thing you need to have in consideration with this ability, because you obviously have to have in consideration your energy and what you're using for energy. And if your swarm isn't near you because you've placed it at chair, you're not able to regen energy, right? So if you're using the ability this way with the intention to like, oh yeah, I'm going to teleport over when I need to. If you don't have energy, you can't do that. And your swarm is just kind of sitting there doing nothing. So, yeah. Simple analysis. I think the best way to nerf this, if it needs to get nerfed, is just make the energy cost higher the higher distance you're going. Do I think it needs to get nerfed, though? I don't think so. I think it's going to be fine. I would argue most things about her kit is just going to be fine. Right? That's true as well, Kiki. I feel like this is the first hunter that actually uses an ability that is like their hunter counterpart. Like Fool's Gold doesn't do anything like Prospector. I agree. This feels like a proper persona swap. And it's like, not only is like the kit interesting, uh, but it's like executed in a satisfying way. Because whenever you look at this hunter and then you look at gameplay from Melly, you're like, yeah, that makes sense. But if you look, like, as you said, if you look at Prospector and Fool's Gold, you're like, what is going on? This makes no sense. You're telling me this character and this character are supposed to be the same person? There must be a warning for when she teleports to her swarm, right? Jump scare Melly. I mean, obviously you can see the swarm next to you, and you can still see her coming, right? Like, realistically, this Norton can see her now, probably, if you're paying attention. And you can move. She can't instantly move, right? Um, but she can instantly do that chip hit, so you just have to make sure you're properly positioned. But you can obviously see the swarm. And obviously, yeah, I mean, maybe, yeah. If the swarm is being teleported to, it might make noise. That could be interesting. Um, oh no, the swarm itself, it's probably going to be consistently making noise. Um, I mean, we might be able to see. It looks like it might have an effect. I don't think it does. Because you can see the aura. The aura doesn't change as she's teleporting to it, right? It might honestly be a jump scareable. She might be... Jump scare Melly might exist. Jump scare Melly might be real, guys. You never know. I don't think the jump scare will equate to much, though, because I think you have to really just be, like, scrolling TikTok levels of distracted to end up getting TS'd via that. I think the most that's going to happen with that jump scare is chip damage. But yeah, I can only imagine just hearing bees coming towards me, and I probably would be freaking out. Valid, incredibly valid. The fun fact about me, I hate the sound of like swarms. Um, it gives me a lot of anxiety. So this is, as much as I love this character, it's kind of gonna be a little bit unfortunate because she definitely has that sound in her abilities. But it's whatever. I'll just focus on something else. Try and drown out the noise, I guess. Thankfully, it doesn't sound enough like a swarm, in my opinion. But yeah, that jump scare, it's not going to equate to yes. Definitely this chip hit. If they ran away faster, you wouldn't be able to get this normal hit. But I think Queen Bee's accessory on release might also do the same thing, Punky, by the way. Because she's getting a free event A tier accessory, which should also match her S tier skin, I believe, just based off aesthetic. Um, so yeah, I'm glad she's getting essentially the Archer treatment of having a no. It's for Queen Bee. I'm like 99% sure I remember reading it and going, that says Queen Bee and not entomologist. So I'm pretty certain it's for Queen Bee. I could be wrong though. Maybe I'm just not seeing properly or misremembering, but I'm pretty sure it was for Queen Bee. I'll have to go back and watch the video I made reacting to the stuff. It is Queen Bee, yes. Okay. But yeah, she's getting an A tier on release, which is so incredible. I'm glad she's getting special treatment. It's basically what they did back then with Fool's Gold period. I think they should do that with every Persona character, like Persona swap character. Both Hunter and Survivor swaps. Is just give them an A tier because they are clearly important to the plot, needing a Persona swap. So you might as well give them that extra special treatment. Okay, for real this time, I think we're going to watch it one more time, and then I'm I'm actually gonna end. I know I said that 20 minutes ago, but we're gonna watch it again, and then we'll end because I think we won't have anything else to talk about. I think we've covered pretty much everything. Her in-game model looks so much better than the art. By the way, her in-game model is really, really good. I think the texturing on her skin and the added swarm around her really helps her more bug-like vibe that people were hoping for. Yeah, this has a maximum range of 28 meters that can control it. It moves at double the speed of Dream Witch body. So it's definitely very quick. Can't outrun it. Bam, 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 bam. That's so cool. She fully power creeps warp. And I know I said this earlier, but I'm gonna say it again. I'm so serious. I am gonna try listen on her. I think, because I talked about this already. Obviously, warp and teleport aren't that crazy on her because she has this swarm ability. I don't think blink will be that mandatory on her. It'll be good because it's good on almost every hunter, but I don't think she'll need it. Um, Patroller, don't really think she needs Patroller either. Peeper is probably gonna end up being her standard. Either that or blink. Um, Excitement, I don't think she'll need because her like swarm travel ability where she goes super fast could potentially work like breaking wheel. I don't think she'll suffer that hard from stuns. If I'm being honest, she might. I don't know though. Abnormal, I don't think she'll need as much like help with cipher pressure given how fast she is, which leaves, you know, blink, peepers, and listen. With blink, obviously she could use it. It'll probably be all right. With peepers, it'll be good for chair guarding because you'll be able to just drop the peepers at chair with your swarm, so you'll be able to see when they're going in, right? But then with, you know, with listen, it could be really good to find chase because since she's a chase hunter, she really needs to be in chase. Um, so it could actually be really, it could be viable on her, and I'm actually definitely gonna try it because I genuinely think it could work, um, and probably pretty okay at least. Um, because you also have to think, listen isn't just to find people; it can also be used to like um, halt cipher progress. Because obviously people are gonna instinctively get off of cipher if they see listen. Um, and yeah, I feel like your best build might just be Inso Flower build. I can agree. We talked about this as well of what she'll probably bring. I don't think she'll bring confined space. I think it's not going to be needed, and I also don't think she'll end up bringing trump card. Inso detention is probably going to be most standard, what people just generally will end up running. But I'm I'm kind of interested in Inso Flower build, which correct me if I'm wrong, but that's pretty much just bringing Inso as your final trait, and then going to other different places for more specific, smaller traits. Correct? I'm pretty sure that's what a flower build is, but I just want to make sure. I think the only reason why detention will be fine with her is because she gets even more speed. And obviously, being able to one hit down is generally it's not a bad thing for her or any character to be able to one hit down in almost any situation. Um, but so I think detention will be fine on her and it will benefit her. But I can see how maybe going into a Inso flower build instead to prioritize other parts of her kit and other things she'll end up needing. If you end up like going Inso detention and not having enough points to go into other places you need, I can imagine going a Inso flower build would be better. But we'll just have to see at how building her with the persona tree actually ends up feeling. Yeah, that's what it is. Detention will always be okay, um, but it's a question of whether or not she's gonna need it over getting other smaller things. That's true. Yeah, I think that's the only points where something like TP or warp could be good is if you want to like do um some crazy movement mind games sort of situation where like you and it doesn't just have to be end game too, but I see what you mean. You can like place your swarm on one of the gates and teleport to the other one, for example. um but like you can place your swarm near your chair and then teleport to the cipher that someone's working on, down them, chair them, and then teleport back to your swarm using reciprocate. So I mean I don't think it's necessarily going to be standard on her TP or warp, but it definitely I mean, it could work. It's sort of like Blink Hullabaloo. It's not what you want to bring, but you could bring it. It's sort of niche in the same way Blink Hullabaloo is. It's niche enough to warrant not going it. Remove that filthy perfumer buff and buff mechanic. Let her recall the bot. Honestly, don't take away any survivor buffs so that we can rationalize not adjusting Queen Bee literally at all and keeping her exactly the way she is. If survivors get mega buffed in season 40, so should hunters. Thoughts? Because if survivor ends up getting not nerfed in season 40, everyone's gonna be like, if survivor gets nerfed, hunter has to get nerfed too. We need more hunter buffs for sure. I can agree. I think it was Zeus's video title. Dude, there's okay. Guys, can I talk about this? I felt this way in the Halloween stream last year, the first Halloween stream I was in, where it was me, Z, Zeus, and Duco. It's so unfortunate that they both have Z names because I mix it up way too often. But I think it's Zeus's video that like the thumbnail or title is something like, is season 40 survivor sided? Is the game survivor sided now? The game is going to be survivor sided? And I'm like, okay. As if people weren't already complaining about it being survivor sided. I need a Violetta buff. She feels so clunky right now. I think the main issue with Violetta is her recharge. Incoming Hunter's buff. You can press surrender quicker, thus surrender faster. This is true. It already is survivor sided if you don't play meta. I think that's the biggest issue with this game is how meta dependent it is. Because if you want to play, for example, you love Violinist. You love Violinist's character concept and the way Violinist plays. The entirety of his kit, all of it is really interesting to you. You have to be the best at the game and you have to sweat every single match to feel any sort of modicum of satisfaction from playing Violinist because of how just not great he is. But if you play, someone else, you don't have that issue. All right, team. Well, I predicted that her video gameplay showcase video was going to release this weekend, and I was correct. So I was ready for this. I was so ready. But I think we've officially gone over everything. Usually these end up taking about an hour and a half, and this one took about an hour and a half. But I'm going to end stream here, methinks. Y'all get excited. The 26th, I believe she releases. So every single day we get closer to Hunter Melly. Very exciting. But yeah, I'm going to end stream here. Thank you guys. Sorry for being MIA. I've been dealing with grief in my real life, unfortunately. So I haven't done normal streams, but you'll have to I'm sure you guys will understand. But yeah, had to do this one because had to do the reaction. But yeah, I'm gonna end stream here. Thank you guys for joining me and theory crafting and doing all this fun stuff with me. It's always such a joy. And I will see you guys later. Get excited for Hunter Melly. Goodbye.